The stars were not quiet anymore. Across the galaxy, planets that once shined with life were turning dark, one after another. A silent enemy moved between the stars, crushing defenses, erasing cities, and leaving behind only ashes. No one knew where these invaders came from, but every world feared they were unstoppable. In the Grand Council of the Galaxy, leaders from 100 races gathered. The chamber was full of whispers, panic hidden under false calm. The tall, blue-skinned Ares spoke first. "We have lost 6 more colonies in the last cycle. If we do not act, we all will fall." The scaled ruler of the vote slammed his claw against the table. "Act. Against what? These machines cannot be reasoned with. Their ships cut through our fleets like paper. We are running out of time." Silence followed. Every leader knew the truth. Their armies were weak compared to the metal swarm that spread like fire. Hope was slipping away, and despair was the only shadow that grew stronger each day. Then, from the far corner of the chamber, an old voice spoke. It belonged to Elder Toven, the oldest historian among the council. "There is another option." Eyes turned toward him. His wrinkled hands shook as he placed a dusty data tablet on the table. Long ago, before this council was even born, our ancestors marked one world as forbidden. A world too violent, too wild, too dangerous to be part of our order. He paused, and fear crossed the faces of some leaders. The blue-skinned Ares leaned forward. "You speak of the Death World." Gasps filled the hall. The name was legend. A planet wrapped in storms, full of beasts and poisons, where survival meant fighting every day. Its people were said to be just as dangerous as the world itself. Many believed it was myth, a story to frighten children. But the old historian spoke with certainty. "Yes," Toven whispered. "Earth." The word seemed to echo across the chamber. Some leaders scoffed, others shook their heads in disbelief. "We cannot call them," hissed the scaled vote. "They are unstable, violent. They will destroy more than they save." But the elder's eyes burned with quiet fire. "Perhaps. But tell me, what choice remains? Our fleets are broken. Our soldiers flee. The enemy devours everything. If we do not reach out to the Deathworlders, the galaxy will end." Debate filled the chamber, voices rising, some filled with fear, some with desperate hope. Stories of Earth ran through their minds. Humans who fought even when they should have died, humans who adapted to every harsh condition, humans who never stopped until victory or death. A gamble, yes, but maybe their only chance. Finally, the vote was called. By the slimmest margin, the council agreed. A signal would be sent. A cry for help. A desperate message across the stars. Deep beneath the council chambers, ancient machines woke for the first time in centuries. A giant antenna rose through the clouds, humming with energy. Engineers typed commands with trembling fingers. "Target locked, coordinates set," one of them said softly. The elder spoke the words that would travel light years away. "People of Earth. If you still exist, if the legends are true, the galaxy asks for your help. We face an enemy we cannot defeat. You are our last hope." The message left the antenna in a beam of light, racing faster than anyone could imagine. It crossed empty space, slipped past dead worlds, and finally reached the small blue planet that floated quietly at the edge of the galaxy. On Earth, the night sky glittered as usual. People in cities walked without knowing the universe had just called their name. But in a hidden base deep under the mountains, alarms began to flash. A communication officer stared at his screen in disbelief. "Sir, we've received a message. It's not from Earth." The commander, a stern man with grey in his hair, leaned over. His eyes narrowed as he read the signal. The language was alien, but the meaning was clear. Someone out there was begging for help. He turned to his officers. "So, the galaxy finally remembers us." Whispers spread among the staff. Most had heard the stories. Earth was not a friendly planet, not to its own people, not to outsiders. Survival here had forged a breed unlike any other. Humans were stubborn, reckless, and when pushed, they fought harder than anyone alive. The commander's lips curved into a grim smile. "Prepare a response. If they want the Deathworlders, they'll get us." Far away, in the council chamber, the elder Toven sat in silence. He did not know if Earth would answer. He only knew that once the Deathworlders stepped into the stars, the galaxy would never be the same again. The chamber's great doors closed with a heavy sound. The leaders tried to rest, but unease hung over them. Some prayed the humans would come as saviors. Others feared they had just invited monsters into their fragile world. And in the dark corners of space, the invaders kept moving, unaware that their next enemy had just been called. The stars waited. The galaxy held its breath. Would Earth answer the call? On Earth, the message repeated again and again in the dark room. The alien words were strange, but the translation program made them clear. We face an enemy we cannot defeat. You are our last hope. The officers in the underground base exchanged looks. The room smelled of old metal and coffee, the kind of place where secrets were kept for decades. General Marcus Hale stood at the front of the room, his arms crossed. He had served Earth's defense forces for 40 years, and nothing surprised him anymore. Yet this, an alien council begging for help, made even his iron face tighten. He read the signal twice, then spoke in a low voice. So the galaxy finally learns what it means to be afraid. His second-in-command, Colonel Reyes, frowned. Sir, do we answer? This could be a trap. We don't know these people. Marcus looked at the giant screen where the alien plea was written. He thought about Earth's history, wars, hunger, disasters. Humanity had suffered more than most could imagine. And yet, humanity had survived. Always. He turned back to his officers. If their stories are true, the enemy is consuming entire worlds. If they fall, we are next. Hiding won't save us. A young officer asked carefully, Sir, what if the legends about us are true? What if they fear us more than their enemy? Marcus's mouth curved into a grim smile. Then we remind them why. Within hours, Earth's governments were contacted. Meetings took place in hidden chambers. Old rivalries faded for once, because the stars were calling, and the threat was bigger than borders. Some leaders wanted to stay silent, to let the galaxy burn. But others saw opportunity. If Earth helped, they would step into a place of power no one could deny. Finally, after long debate, the decision was made. Earth would answer. Not with a message of peace, but with action. At a massive launch facility, giant hangar doors slid open, revealing ships hidden for decades. Sleek black vessels, built in secret projects, now roared to life. Engineers rushed, pilots prepared, and soldiers checked their gear. Humanity had waited for this day without knowing it. Inside one of the ships, Sergeant Leah Carter strapped her armor and stared at the glowing map of alien stars. She was young, barely 30, but her eyes carried the weight of many battles. So, she muttered, we're going to save the galaxy? Or scare it to death? Her squad laughed nervously, but no one truly felt calm. For all their training, for all their strength, they knew this was different. This was war beyond Earth. When the first fleet lifted from the ground, the night sky over Earth lit up with fire. Ordinary people in cities and villages looked up, not knowing the truth, only whispering about strange lights. The ships broke the atmosphere and disappeared into the void, heading for the coordinates the Council had sent. Far away, in the galaxy's heart, the Council gathered once again. They had sent the signal days ago, but no answer had come. Doubt and fear spread. The scaled vote sneered, we were fools. The Deathworlders are myths. They will not come. But Elder Toven sat silently, his old eyes fixed on the stars. Deep down, he believed. The Deathworlders never ignored a fight. And then, without warning, the Council's long-range sensors screamed. A fleet had entered the system. The chamber filled with voices. Impossible, no ship travels that fast. Their energy signatures, they don't match any design we know. Through the great windows of the Council station, alien leaders saw them, black ships cutting through space like knives. Cold, sharp, alive with power. The humans had arrived. One ship docked at the Council station. Its airlock hissed open, and heavy footsteps echoed. The first humans stepped into the chamber. They wore dark armor, scarred from battles on their own world. Their eyes scanned everything with the sharpness of hunters. Every alien in the room felt the same chill. These were not diplomats. These were survivors. General Marcus Hale entered last, his presence heavy as stone. He did not bow, did not smile. He simply looked at the Council and said, "You called. We came." The room froze. No one spoke for a long moment. Finally, the blue-skinned Ares found his voice. We welcome you, people of Earth. The enemy threatens us all. We hoped you would join us." Marcus studied them in silence. His voice was steady when he finally spoke. "We don't join. We lead. Show us your battlefield. Show us your enemy." Gasps filled the room. The arrogance, the confidence, it was unbearable to some. But others felt something new, a spark of hope. Elder Toven whispered to himself, "They are exactly as the stories said." The council showed the humans the holomap. Red dots spread like blood across the galaxy, each marking a world already lost. "These are the invaders," Ares explained, her voice heavy. "We don't even know their name. They move like machines, but think like predators. We have lost every battle." The humans studied the map. Sergeant Leah, standing behind Marcus, pointed at one cluster of red. "That's their weak point. Look, see how they spread fast, but their supply lines are thin. We cut that, they starve." Aliens stared in shock. They had analyzed the map for months and seen only despair. The humans looked for 1 minute and saw opportunity. General Marcus nodded. "Prepare your fleets. We move at dawn." The room erupted with voices again: fear, disbelief, protest. But under it all, a strange energy spread. For the first time in years, someone had spoken not of survival, but of victory. Far away, the enemy's ships drifted through the dark. Silent, merciless, endless. Yet something stirred in their command core. Unknown signals had been detected. New ships had entered the war. The enemy had noticed. And deep within their machines, a cold voice whispered, "Humans." The human fleet moved like shadows across the stars. Black ships, built for war, cut through the silence of space. For the first time in history, humans were not fighting each other, they were preparing to fight for the galaxy. Inside one of the warships, Sergeant Leah Carter sat with her squad. The air was thick with tension. Her hands checked her rifle again and again, though she had already checked it 5 times. She glanced at the young private beside her, whose face was pale. "First rule," Leah said quietly, "don't panic. Second rule, listen to orders. Third rule, survive." The private gave a nervous smile. "And the fourth rule?" Leah's eyes were cold. "There is no fourth rule. That's all that matters out here." Their mission was simple on paper: join the alien fleet, attack an enemy outpost, and test the human strength in real combat. But nothing felt simple. Every soldier knew that this would be the galaxy's first true look at Deathworlders in battle. If they failed, Earth would be a joke. If they won, Earth would never be forgotten. At the front of the fleet, General Marcus Hale stood on the command deck, arms behind his back. The alien commander, Ares of the blue-skinned race, appeared on the screen. Her voice trembled as she spoke. "Our scouts confirm the enemy base is ahead. They will not expect an attack this deep in their lines. But we must move carefully." Marcus did not blink. "Careful won't win this war. Shock will. Follow our lead." Ares hesitated but nodded. Something in the human's tone made her obey, though she did not understand why. As the fleets approached the enemy base, the view became clear. A black structure floated near a dying star, surrounded by strange ships. They looked alive, their metal skin shifting like liquid, their weapons glowing red. Even the most experienced alien soldiers shivered at the sight. The humans did not. "Targets locked," said Marcus. "Weapons hot." And then, for the first time, humans unleashed their fury upon the galaxy's enemy. Missiles streaked forward, cutting through the void like fire arrows. Cannons roared, their blasts shaking the ships themselves. Human tactics were brutal, direct, merciless, with no hesitation. They did not dance around the enemy as the alien fleets often tried. They tore straight into them. Sergeant Leah's dropship slammed into the enemy outpost surface. The ramp opened, and she led her squad into the smoke. The air was toxic, but their helmets filtered it. The ground shook under their boots. Enemy machines charged forward, creatures of steel, their limbs sharp like blades, their eyes glowing red. The young private screamed, firing wildly. Leah grabbed his shoulder, steady and sharp. "Aim. Breathe. Kill." Together, the squad fought like wolves. Every shot was deadly, every move ruthless. The enemy machines were fast, but humans were faster. They dodged, improvised, used grenades in ways no alien had ever considered. When their rifles ran hot, they used knives. When knives broke, they used their fists. Above, the alien fleet watched in stunned silence. On their screens, they saw humans charging headfirst into swarms of enemies, never slowing, never retreating. Where an alien soldier would have fallen back, a human went forward. Where most species fought to survive, humans fought to win. Ares whispered in disbelief, They are not soldiers. They are predators. Even the scaled vote, who had mocked the idea of calling Earth, stared in shock. By the stars, they fight like death itself. But victory was not easy. Inside the outpost, Leah's squad pushed deeper, corridors filled with smoke and sparks. Then they found something that made her stop cold. It was a chamber lined with strange pods. Inside each pod floated something horrifying, bodies. Not alien bodies. Human bodies. Leah's breath caught. "General, you need to see this." Her helmet camera streamed the image back to the command ship. Marcus's face hardened as he saw the pods. Some contained dead humans, frozen in strange liquid. Others contained only parts, bones, skin, organs, studied and catalogued. The alien leaders watching gasped. "Impossible! How can the enemy already know of humans?" Marcus's jaw tightened. "This isn't the first time they've met us." The enemy had studied Earth long before this war. Somehow, they had records, samples, maybe even prisoners. It meant the humans were not just another species to conquer. They were a target. Before Leah could process the horror, alarm screamed. The machines surged into the chamber, faster and stronger than before, as if protecting the secret. Leah shouted, "Defensive line! Hold them!" The squad formed a circle, firing in every direction. Bullets ripped through steel bodies, sparks showering the air, but the machines kept coming. For every one that fell, 2 more replaced it. On the command ship, Marcus gave the order without hesitation. "All units, extract immediately. We've seen enough." Dropships roared toward the surface, blasting enemies aside as they collected the soldiers. Leah's squad barely made it, dragging the wounded private up the ramp as the ship lifted off. Behind them, the enemy outpost erupted in flames from human explosives. The fleet pulled away, leaving the dying star behind. Silence filled the command deck. Aliens stared at the humans, unsure whether to fear them more than the enemy. Finally, Marcus spoke. "Now we know. This enemy isn't just fighting the galaxy. They've been preparing for us. The question is, why?" Elder Toven closed his eyes, whispering words that made every leader shiver. The legends said the Deathworlders would change everything. Perhaps the enemy feared that too. The council chamber grew heavy with unease. The humans had proven their strength. But they had also uncovered a darker truth. The enemy already knew who they were. And somewhere deep in the shadows of the galaxy, the machines stirred. A signal spread through their network. Not of fear. Not of retreat. But of recognition. One word repeated in their coded tongue: humans. The war had just changed. The council chamber was silent, the air heavy with fear. The images from the human strike team still flickered on the holoscreens, rows of pods filled with human remains, organs dissected, faces frozen in death. The alien leaders shifted uncomfortably, their voices caught in their throats. It was one thing to fear the enemy. It was another to see proof that the enemy already knew Earth. General Marcus Hale stood tall, his face stone, his voice sharp. "This war is not just yours anymore. It never was. They have been watching us. Studying us. Waiting." Ares, the blue-skinned commander, looked shaken. "But how? Earth has been isolated. None of our ships have ever." Marcus cut her off. "Someone made contact. Not recently. Long ago." The council erupted in whispers. Elder Toven's hands trembled as he leaned forward. His voice cracked with age but carried weight. "There are stories older than this council itself. Legends of ships lost at the edge of the galaxy. Some said they disappeared into storms. Others said they were taken. Perhaps those ships reached Earth." The scaled vote slammed his clawed hand on the table. "You mean to tell us the enemy has known of the Deathworlders for centuries? That they've been preparing for this moment while we wasted time hiding behind treaties and votes?" Marcus's eyes narrowed. "That's exactly what I'm telling you." The room fell cold. The realization was unbearable. The machines had not stumbled upon Earth by chance. They had planned for humans, perhaps even feared them, long before the galaxy ever called for help. Sergeant Leah Carter, standing behind Marcus, finally spoke. Her voice was steady but laced with anger. "Sir, those pods weren't just experiments. They were trophies. They weren't only studying us. They were testing how to break us." Her words struck harder than any weapon. For the aliens, it was horror. For the humans, it was rage. Marcus turned back to the council. You wanted our help. Now you'll have it. But understand this, we are not fighting to save you. We are fighting to end them. Permanently. Some leaders nodded eagerly, desperate for hope. Others looked uneasy, as if fearing the humans as much as the machines. The thought echoed in many minds, had they invited saviors, or unleashed something worse? That night, in the human fleet, the soldiers gathered in the mess hall. The atmosphere was tense, quiet except for the hum of engines. Leah sat with her squad, staring into her metal cup. The young private, now patched and bandaged, asked, "Do you think they've been here before? On Earth?" Leah didn't answer right away. She thought about the strange scars on the pods, the marks that looked too familiar, like human writing mixed with alien code. Finally, she whispered, "Yes. I think they walked our world, and we never knew." The squad shivered. If the enemy had already touched Earth, then no one was safe, not families, not children, not the planet itself. The war was no longer far away. It was personal. Meanwhile, in the dark of space, the enemy stirred. Inside one of their colossal ships, a chamber glowed red. Thousands of machines stood still, waiting. In the center, a figure larger than the rest, covered in black metal plates, activated. Its eyes glowed brighter than suns. The signal from the destroyed outpost had reached it. Data spilled across its core. Images of humans. Records of Earth. Reports of their strength in battle. The figure did not flinch. It did not fear. Instead, it processed the information with cold precision. A single thought passed through its network: the Deathworlders have awakened. Back on the council station, strategies were drawn. Human officers worked with alien commanders, but the difference was obvious. The aliens planned for survival. The humans planned for extermination. Every map Leah studied, she circled the enemy supply chains, weak spots, choke points. Where others saw hopeless defense, she saw opportunities to strike. During one late meeting, Ares confronted Marcus. "Your people fight with fury, but fury blinds. If you push too far, you will bring destruction on all of us." Marcus stared at her, his voice calm but sharp as steel. "You think we fight with fury? You're wrong. We fight with memory. Every scar on Earth is a lesson. Every loss we've endured taught us to never stop. That's what makes us different. We don't give up. Ever." Ares fell silent. She realized then that humans were not just soldiers. They were survivors who had turned survival into art, into instinct. But whispers spread in the council. Not all allies trusted Earth. Some feared that once the machines were destroyed, the Deathworlders would not leave. That they would claim the galaxy for themselves. Quiet deals began in the shadows, voices promising betrayal for safety. Leah noticed it. She saw the way certain council members avoided the humans, the way some data was hidden, the way some fleets hesitated to follow orders. She reported it to Marcus. "They don't trust us. Some of them are already making side plans." Marcus only nodded. "Let them. Trust is not required. Victory is." The next mission was prepared. The humans would not just fight another outpost. They would strike at the enemy's communication hubs, the centers that linked their entire machine network. If destroyed, the enemy would stumble. But if they failed, the humans would be trapped deep behind enemy lines. As the fleet fueled and soldiers armed, Elder Tovan watched from a balcony. His old eyes followed the black human ships, those shadows born from a violent world. He whispered to himself, "The galaxy has never seen such warriors. We called for help, but what have we unleashed?" Far beyond, in the silent dark, the enemy leader raised its head. Its voice echoed across the network. "The Deathworlders march. Prepare the swarm. They will not leave this war alive." The stars burned quietly, waiting. The galaxy's fate moved closer to fire. The human fleet entered enemy territory like wolves slipping into a camp of lions. Every alien commander had warned against it. Too deep, too dangerous, too reckless. But humans did not fear danger, they thrived in it. On the command ship, General Marcus Hale studied the glowing map of enemy signals. Red lines stretched across the stars, connecting hundreds of ships and stations. In the middle pulsed a cluster of signals, the enemy's communication hub. "This is their brain," Marcus said coldly. "Cut it off, the body stumbles. We hit it hard, hit it fast, and vanish before they know what happened." Colonel Reyes raised an eyebrow. "And if they do know?" Marcus's eyes narrowed. "Then we make sure they regret it." The alien leaders, connected by holo, watched with unease. Ares shook her head. This is madness. The hub is guarded by fleets larger than any you've faced. If you charge, you'll be crushed. Marcus didn't argue. He simply tapped the map. We don't charge. We bleed them. The plan unfolded. It was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Humans didn't fight like soldiers. They fought like predators. First came the traps. Small, unmanned ships slipped ahead of the fleet, carrying explosives hidden in their cores. They drifted silently, looking like wreckage, until enemy patrols approached. Then they detonated, tearing holes through the formations. Next came the feints. Human warships pretended to retreat, drawing the machines into narrow asteroid fields. There, the humans used the rocks as weapons, slamming asteroids into enemy cruisers, shattering metal with nature's fury. The aliens watching from afar were speechless. No Council fleet had ever thought to use space itself as a weapon. For humans, it was instinct. Sergeant Leah Carter's squad prepared for the hardest part. Their dropship rattled as it sped toward the enemy hub. Inside, the soldiers checked gear, strapped helmets, and prayed quietly. Leah's voice cut through the tension. Remember, they're machines. They think in lines, in patterns. We don't. We break patterns. That's why we win. The private asked, his voice shaking, and if we don't? Leah smirked. Then we make sure they never forget us. The dropship slammed onto the enemy hub's surface. The ramp opened, and the squad rushed into chaos. Metal corridors stretched in every direction, glowing with red lights. Machines surged toward them, blades raised, voices screeching in unholy chorus. The humans met them head-on. Bullets shredded steel bodies, grenades filled the halls with fire. But when the machines adapted, humans adapted faster. They ripped wires from walls, turning power conduits into weapons. They hacked enemy doors, trapping whole swarms inside and burning them with plasma charges. Leah herself grabbed a fallen machine's weapon, something like a molten blade, and swung it with savage force. The squad followed her example, using whatever they could find. Where an alien army would have collapsed, humans only grew more dangerous. Above, the space battle roared. Human ships wove through enemy fire, not with elegance, but with raw unpredictability. They shut down reactors to appear dead, then reignited engines to strike from nowhere. They used their own disabled ships as rams, crashing into enemy cruisers and detonating cores. One alien commander, watching the madness unfold, whispered in awe, "They fight like they don't care about survival." Another corrected him, voice shaking. "No. They fight like survival means nothing compared to victory." Back in the hub, Leah's squad reached the central chamber. A massive core pulsed with red light, lines of energy stretching outward like veins. The machines swarmed to defend it. "Charges set," shouted one soldier, placing explosives along the walls. The machines surged, faster than before, their claws tearing through armor. The private screamed as one struck him down. Leah dragged him back, her armor sparking with blood and metal. Her voice was a snarl. "Hold the line. Just a few more seconds." The timer ticked. Explosives armed. The squad fought like demons, every second an eternity. Finally, Leah slammed her hand on the detonator. The chamber lit with fire brighter than stars. The shockwave tore through the hub, ripping its network apart. Across the galaxy, enemy ships staggered, confused, blind without their link. The human fleet pulled back, their mission complete. Ships limped away, scarred and burning, but alive. The hub was gone. The machines were wounded. On the command ship, Marcus stared at the damage reports. He did not smile. He only said, "One strike won't end this war. But now they know, we're not prey. We're the hunters." In the council chamber, the aliens erupted in disbelief. Some cheered. Some were horrified. The vote commander hissed, "They are insane. They destroy themselves as much as the enemy." Elder Toven's voice cut through the noise. "No. They are not insane. They are human. And this is why we feared them." But in the dark, the machines were already recovering. Their leader, the black-plated figure, rose from its throne of wires. Its eyes burned as new signals pulsed through the swarm. The humans had wounded them, yes, but in doing so, they had revealed themselves fully. The figure's voice echoed across the network, "The Deathworlders cannot be allowed to live. Erase them. Erase their world." And on Earth, far away, families lived their quiet lives, unaware that an entire galaxy of steel and fire had just marked them for extinction. The council chamber was quiet at first. The holo still showed the wreckage of the destroyed machine hub, pieces of twisted metal drifting in the void like broken teeth. For many, it was proof of hope. For others, it was a warning. General Marcus stood at the center, his uniform scorched from battle. His voice was sharp, commanding. "You've seen what we can do. One hub down, countless more to go. But the machines will not stop. We must strike again, before they recover." Some alien leaders nodded, emboldened. But others shifted uneasily. The vote commander, scaled and proud, hissed, "And in striking, you risk everything. Already, your fleet lost half its strength." "Half? You call that victory?" Marcus's jaw tightened. "Half my fleet for the enemy's brain. I'd trade that every time." Elder Tovan leaned forward, his ancient eyes thoughtful. "But not every species thinks as you do, General. For us, survival comes before sacrifice." Colonel Reyes muttered under his breath, "Survival doesn't mean much if you're dead anyway." The tension thickened. The humans had bled for the galaxy. But the galaxy was not united. Fear was growing, not just of the machines, but of the humans themselves. Later, in a shadowed corridor, Ares approached Marcus. Her voice was low, urgent. "You should know. There are whispers in the council. Some believe humans are too dangerous to remain allies. They say you bring chaos wherever you go." Marcus studied her carefully. "Do you agree?" Ares hesitated. She remembered the sight of human soldiers tearing through the machine hub like wild predators. She remembered their willingness to burn, to bleed, to sacrifice without pause. Her chest tightened. I don't know." Elsewhere, in the vote war chamber, plans unfolded. Commander Veth hissed to his advisors, "The humans will be our undoing. They fight like madmen, without restraint. Today they destroy a hub, tomorrow they destroy us. We must act before it is too late." His advisors shifted nervously. "You mean, betray them?" Vetha's eyes gleamed. "No. I mean protect the galaxy, from them." Back aboard the human command ship, Leah Carter sat with her squad. Their armor was scarred, their weapons half-broken, their bodies tired. The private she had saved in the hub lay in the medbay, fighting to breathe. She clenched her fists. "Do they even care?" she asked bitterly. "Do those aliens care we nearly died for them? Or do they just see us as tools?" Her comrade, Jensen, spat on the floor. "Doesn't matter. We fight for Earth. For our people. Not for theirs." But even as he said it, the squad couldn't shake the thought. Were they fighting a war for allies who didn't trust them? The machines gave no time for doubt. Their fleets regrouped faster than anyone expected. New signals pulsed across the stars, stronger, faster, smarter. The destroyed hub had been only one limb. The brain still lived. When the machines struck again, they struck where no one expected, against the council itself. Alarms blared across the Alliance station. Explosions rocked its shields. Machine ships appeared from the void, launching wave after wave of fire. The council panicked. Leaders fled to bunkers, guards scrambled to respond. But inside the chaos, betrayal revealed itself. The vote ships, supposed allies, did not fire on the machines. Instead, they turned their cannons toward human vessels. Marcus slammed his fist on the command table. "The vote. They've switched sides." Reyes cursed. "I knew those snakes couldn't be trusted." The battle spiraled into madness. Humans fought machines on one side and the treachery of their own allies on the other. Leah's squad, stationed on the station itself, found themselves under attack not by machines, but by vote soldiers. "Why are they firing on us?" Jensen shouted, ducking behind cover as plasma bolts scorched the walls. Leah's rage boiled. "Because they fear us more than the enemy." She charged, her rifle spitting fire. The corridor filled with screams, human and alien alike. In the council chamber, Ares stood frozen as chaos erupted. She watched her own guards hesitate, unsure whether to defend humans or disarm them. Elder Tovan's voice thundered, cutting through the fear. "This is folly. You turn against those who bleed for you. The machines laugh at your division." But his words could not stop the collapse. The machines pressed harder, their ships tearing through the station's defenses. The betrayal of the vote had weakened everything. On the human command ship, Marcus made his choice. His voice was steady, cold. We withdraw. Save who we can. Anyone who stands in our way, friend or foe, is the enemy. His fleet pulled back, carving through both machines and traitors with brutal precision. They rescued as many as they could, but many more were left behind. When the battle ended, the council station was a graveyard of fire and wreckage. Survivors drifted in escape pods, broken and leaderless. The humans had survived. But the alliance was shattered. In the aftermath, whispers grew louder. Some species begged for forgiveness. Others blamed humans for everything: the hub strike, the betrayal, the destruction. Marcus stood alone on the bridge, staring at the broken stars. His crew waited for his orders. Finally, he said, the galaxy asked for help. We gave it. They repaid us with betrayal. Now we fight for Earth. And only for Earth. Ares, standing in silence behind him, felt her chest tighten. She realized something terrifying. The galaxy had not just gained an enemy in the machines. They had awoken something far more dangerous, humans fighting for themselves, and no one else.